The JSE is slightly up so far. It's highest since late December 2023, tracking its global peers. Traders are still digesting the Fed's monetary policy outlook, anticipating higher interest rates for a longer period. The JSE is poised to post a rise of over 1% this week. FNB Wealth and Investments portfolio manager Wayne McCurrie joins us now for an overview of the latest moves. Wayne, give us an overview of just how the local index is faring so far today.
Well, it's actually doing quite well. It's up almost 0.5%. And as you spoke about earlier on the U.S. federal rate decision, you know, not the rate decision, the inflation numbers that came out were not particularly good. And normally our market will do quite poorly in that environment, but it's actually done okay. I mean, it was down on Wednesday when the inflation numbers came out, but today it's up 0.5%. And most importantly, the mining shares are flying. They up almost 5%. So the gold shares, the platinum shares, but all the mining shares really, really strong showing. And that has been the case now for actually quite a while. I mean, the underlying price of platinum has gone through $1,000 an ounce, and it hasn't done that for a long time. So the index is actually doing okay.
French broadcasting group Canal Plus has bought up another big chunk of shares in acquisition target MultiChoice Group, taking its shareholding beyond 40%. Help us make sense of those developments.
Well, look, they've been buying shares in MultiChoice for a while, and someone at Canal Plus made a mistake and bought 0.01% too many shares. That took them over the 35% level. And once you go above 35, you have to make a mandatory offer to all shareholders. And they didn't want to do that, but our securities regulation panel actually forced them to do it. And if you've made the offer at 125 Rand a share. The shares are now trading slightly below that. So you might as well just buy more in the market at a slightly lower price than pay the 125. So that's why they're buying the shares now. So ultimately, they will end up owning a significant majority in these shares once the compulsory offer goes through. And I wouldn't be surprised if they actually delist the company, just buy out all the shareholders and delist the company, because Canal Plus doesn't need capital from South Africa. They've got plenty of capital and they've got access to other investment markets and share markets worldwide. So it wouldn't surprise me if in 6 months or a year's time, MultiChoice is unfortunately no longer listed here.
Wow. McKinsey & Company is beginning to cut about 360 jobs as the consulting giant deals with a slowdown in demand for its services. Job cuts seem to be the order of the day, both locally and internationally.
Yes. Unfortunately, this happens during an economic downturn. I mean, we in South Africa, surprisingly enough, have come through this particular cycle much better than other countries. I mean, other countries, if you lived in the United States, your cost of borrowing money has gone up from 1% to 5% in the last 2 years, and a very similar increase in the UK. You know, our interest rates have gone up, but not nearly to the same extent. So obviously the world's economy is slowing down, and in an economic slowdown, you've got to unfortunately cut costs. And we see that especially in our mining sector, as we well know.
The British economy expanded 0.1% month over month in February, matching market forecasts. Talk us through this data and what clues it gives us about the state of the global economy as a whole.
Well, I think that other than the United States, which is particularly strong, and quite frankly, I don't understand how it is that strong, the rest of the world is going through a very, a very long, drawn out, I suppose, slowdown stroke recession. I mean, the UK was very, very lucky to have escaped going into a recession over the last while, and they've been just slightly positive. But this is just what happens when interest rates go up, because inflation has gone up. I mean, at one stage in the UK, inflation was 10%. Now, that's higher than our inflation rate. And it's even more, I suppose it's even more shocking to the UK citizens when inflation goes from 2% to 4%, from 2% to 10%. You know, so the world has gone through a tough time over the last 2 years. Hopefully that's coming to an end quite soon, because we will see interest rate cuts before the end of the year, and that should pick up economic growth locally and globally.
Wayne McCurrie, thank you very much for your time and insights.
Pleasure.